What's up, everybody? It's Maisha Edmond, licensed cosmetologist in the state of New York. Also, your most favorite trichology mentor and strategist. Super excited to be here on May 4th, 2026. Listen, today is the first day of group mentorship 2026 spring edition. I'm super excited for it. We will be meeting in just a few hours. All the stuff is out, all the emails are out, all the instructions are out, and we are so excited to do the things that we do as far as group mentorship. I told you this time is going to be completely different. And so we're excited about everybody that has signed up for group mentorship. I'm so excited. Yes. So listen, I am going to do a little bit of housekeeping. I'm live on Instagram, trichology_911, also live on my regular Facebook page, and I'm live on YouTube. I'm on YouTube as well. Okay. So let's talk about mentorship, right? And I wanted to just kind of talk about this as a nod to our group mentorship that is started today. And so I wanted to give harsh advice for new trichologists. Basically, what I would tell them if I wasn't afraid to hurt your feelings. So if you are a new and improving trichologist and you're like, okay, like I might need some advice, I need some information. So this is going to be the lot for you. So let me say this with love, right? But also with truth. Okay. Some trichologists, or some of us, we want the title of trichologist, but we have not accepted the responsibility that comes with it, right? We really want to be trichologists, but we really have not accepted that responsibility that comes with with calling ourselves trichologists. It's Monday. It's Monday. I'm okay. And so listen, this field is not about sounding smart, right? But it's not about selling your products. It's not about posting scout pictures. This is about people trusting you with something that is deeply emotional, right? It is very visible and is personal. Okay. And so hair loss affects confidence, it affects identity, femininity, a lot of times, health, and then also mental well being, right? And so, if you're going to step into this field, you need to step into it with discipline. I feel like a lot of times we don't have the discipline. We just kind of like run in and, I'm a trichologist now and, blah, blah, blah. But there is more to it. So, the first thing that I would tell a new and improving trichologist, if I was their mentor, as a nod to trichology mentorship that is happening today, if I was their mentor and I wasn't afraid to hurt their feelings, the first thing I would tell you is stop calling yourself a trichologist if you're afraid to study. If you do not study, do not call yourself a trichologist, because trichology requires ongoing education. You cannot build real authority on surface level information, on stuff that, I mean, pretty much anything can be Googled or chat GPT'd or Clauded, right? But there is a really important element in you knowing it, and it's not sounding like you're just kind of reading it off of a screen or off of a piece of paper, right? So the first thing I would say is you have got to study. I have like books and like digital and physical of like not just trichology, but dermatology, just different things that I have earmarked that are important to us as trichologists. And so that's like a really, really big thing, right? Hold on real quick. Let me end this one and go to the next one. And it's done. Here, here, here. Live, all the way live, all the way live. Okay. Okay. So now that we have that up, so yeah, so the first thing, like I said, that I would tell you if you are a new and improving trichologist, and I was not afraid to hurt your feelings, is stop calling yourself a trichologist if you are afraid to study. You have got to study, right? And this is the thing, right? Hey, some of us want to be respected as experts, but we do not want to study like experts. And I think that that's one of the biggest things. And so, like I said, as a nod to Trichology 911 mentorship happening today, I wanted to just kind of give this advice. You cannot diagnose everything as stress. Everything is not stress. You cannot blame every issue on products. You cannot look at thinning and immediately assume that, assume alopecia without understanding the difference between shedding, breakage, inflammation, scarring, nutritional deficiency, traction, autoimmune patterns, medications, or side effects, and like other scalp disorders. You can't. So if you're going to call yourself a trichologist, you need to study because there's more than, girl, what did you eat? Or oh, you just so stressed out, right? Now of course we see those things, but there's more to it, right? Again, I'm live on Instagram, live on YouTube and Facebook. Let me see. Hey lady. Oh, so that's another thing. Also, if I was your trichology mentor, and I was not afraid to hurt your feelings, in that part of telling you that you need to study, I would tell you that being a trichologist means that have to be willing to learn anatomy, physiology, pathology, hair growth cycles outside of just the three, the five, right? Scalps and scalp conditions. You have to be willing to understand client history and like contradictions and when to refer out, right? Because the hard truth is this: if you only study enough to sound impressive on social media, you are not studying enough to protect the client. You have to be able to protect your client, right? So new trichologists have to commit to case study review, right? When's the last time that you did a case study review or that you were in a case studies class? I have case studies classes, right? You have to be able to continue education. You have to be committed to reading, mentorship, and clinical thinking, right? And that leads me to number two, because when you do not study, then your client becomes the one who pays for your gaps. Okay. They pay for your gaps. So, number two, if I was your trichology mentor and I was not afraid to hurt your feelings, I would tell you that clients should not be used as your practice dummy. Clients are not your experiment, right? Because the practitioner lacks structure. Just because you don't have structure doesn't mean that you should just kind of like play with the client. Basically, when a client sits in your chair, she is not just handing you money, right? She's not just handing you money. She's handing you trust, right? She may have already cried about her hair loss. She may have already wasted hundreds or even thousands of dollars. And you know how it is. Somebody comes to you and they say, "Oh my God, I'm just so glad I found you. I found you on Instagram. I found you on TikTok. I found you on Facebook. And I've been going through this and that whole thing." And then they're looking at you like, "Okay, can you help me?" So she may have already been dismissed by other doctors or stylists, other trichologists, friends, and family. So when she finally finds you and she finally comes to you, you don't get to be careless, right? Every lazy intake matters. What does that mean? If your intake system is corny, if it's not structured, if you don't have a way to really like bring things together or be able to give your client a plan of action, then your client or the potential client is going to suffer. Every skipped question matters. You can't just skip questions. You have to be thorough, right? Every copied protocol matters, right? Every assumption matters. Is nothing wrong with you getting protocols. I have a Big Five protocol ebook that is absolutely amazing, right? But it does you no good. Even if you follow it to a T, And then in the back of that ebook is an anti-inflammatory um what's it called? An anti-inflammatory diet for your clients, right? But even if you followed that to a T, right, and you don't really understand what you're talking about, it's not going to help the client. It isn't. So if you're guessing, say you're guessing, right? Don't dress it up as expertise, right? Because you can buy yourself time. You can say, you know what, I'm really not sure. If I had to take a guess, I would say it's this, but let me get back to you. But don't like guess, right? Explain that a proper consultation, right? You have to look at explaining that a proper consultation, including your medical history. Y'all remember this from trichology schools and classes, right? Timeline, symptoms, lifestyle, medication, stressors, scalp observations, previous treatments, right? And even referral awareness, like where they came from. All that stuff matters. It all matters. So before you recommend anything, you need to know what you are looking at. What questions have you not asked? And you have to also know what is outside of your scope. I hope I'm making sense. If anybody have any questions, drop them in the comments. I'm looking at both, right? And while we're here, knowledge alone is still not enough. You just having knowledge is still not enough, because some people know information, but they do not know how to hold a client emotionally. And you already know hair loss is very emotional for more than just women, but for a lot of people, it is very emotional, right? And if you cannot read the room, then you are not able to consult, because trichology is emotional. Clients need clarity, but they also need safety, right? Clients, they need safety. Hey, Tiff, they need safety. I remember when I first started trichology, I'm like, yo, I can't do this in an open salon. I can't do this on the floor when everybody was there. So I would either have to do it on Monday when the salon is closed, or I had to get a suite. I had to be by myself. I had to make special time, even on my scheduling, right? I had to make time on the schedule where it was trichology only, right? Okay, so again, as a nod to Trichology 911 group mentorship that is happening today, I want to give you a few more things that I would do, things that I would tell you if I was your trichology mentor and I was not afraid to hurt your feelings, right? So I'm going to wrap up number 2. Hair loss is not just cosmetic, and we know that, right? We already know that it's emotional, it's personal. It can make a woman feel embarrassed, exposed, make her feel older, unattractive, unhealthy, right? Or out of control, right? Because if the one thing you could do is put your hair in a ponytail, one thing you could do is roll your hair up, right? Tiffany said, when I first started hair loss, I had privacy screens before I figured it out. Absolutely. Whatever you can do to make this client feel safe is going to be great, right? As a trichologist, you need emotional intelligence, right? That's not just for men and women in relationships. As a trichologist, entering into a relationship with these clients, you are going to need emotional intelligence. Tiffany said, then she had separate days after that, and now she has private rooms, and it's right. It's only right, right? You need to know when to educate, right? Don't overwhelm your clients with all this information. And girl, because when I studied and back when I was in such and such class, and when I went to this class and all that other stuff, you need to know when to educate, but you need to know when to pause and to reassure the client. And then you need to know when to be direct. We are not direct, right? Because a lot of times we don't know. Tiffany said confidentiality is so important. Absolutely. I had a client pull me to the side. I remember when I was trying to figure out how to do this trichology thing, and I had like a little space in my house, right? It was like a room and everything. And then I didn't know that this person had hair loss. And then when she came, I saw it. And then somebody was sitting out in the living room and she was about to come in, and I'm talking about I bolted to that door and I like closed the door like, hey, how can I help you? Right? Because confidentiality is important. I remember before I was even a trichologist, and I would see women very early in the morning. So a lot of people would book with me like 5 and 6 in the morning because they knew they had hair loss issues. And so I was able to kind of like freely move around the salon at that time. But what happened was when people started coming in, I throw a towel over their head. I would shampoo their hair. I'll be at the bowl shampooing their hair. Before they sit up, I got the towel already over their head. I would walk them over to the dryer, have the towel still on their head, put the dryer down on their head, and then move the towel. So I'm like extra, right? Because if a client, you think about this, if a client leaves secure, right? If they leave smarter, but then they're more afraid, then you don't lead you don't lead the consultation well. You're doing the consultation and you're just saying all kind of things and they scared and all that other stuff, right? So a good trichologist does not just explain what's happening, is what I'm saying, right? She's going to help the client understand the next step without panic. Without panic. So your job is not to scare people into buying. It's not to scare people into buying. Your job is to create clarity strong enough that they can make an informed decision. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? And it brings me to our number 4, because too many new trichologists or improving trichologists are rushing to sell before they fully understand the condition. Has anybody ever did that? You ain't know, you really didn't know, but you was like, I got to prove it. I'm talking about, like, let's be honest, right? You like, okay, I got these products. I'm going to spend all this money on school. Like, what am I going to do? How am I going to help these people? And so that brings me to number 4. Stop trying to sell treatments before you understand the condition. Okay? If I was your trichology mentor and I was not afraid to hurt your feelings, and I know that you spent all this money on school, and you got your nice shiny white lab coat, and you were trying to figure out what you were going to do, right? Hey, Monique, you were trying to figure out what to do, how you were going to do it. I would tell you, stop trying to sell treatments before you understand the condition. Tiffany said, putting everyone into the first system they learn. First of all, do y'all remember that? Trying to get a whole bunch of people into this one system that you learn. And that goes to talk about, if you've been following me for any length of time, I have a trichology level system, right? So when you try to put everyone into the first system you learn, that is indicative of a level 1 trichologist, where you take a system that you have learned and that you are confident in, and you just kind of generalize and put everybody there because that's what you know. Because the only thing you know how to do is read ingredients. Okay, so they got this. Okay, boom, they got this. They got this. So I'm gonna give you this box of products. Y'all remember that? Y'all remember that? Like, ain't no shout out to XDC, right? Right? But you would get your box of products, and they say, well, use this one, and they got the supplements if they got this. But if they got a heart issue, they can't use that. So you got to use this one. So this one got the green leaf on it. This one is like more vegan friendly. And if you use this one, this is like the heavy duty. Y'all remember that? Putting everybody in the same treatment plan, right? So you have to look at the fact that a product is not a protocol. Oh my God, I feel like I'm preaching. A product is not a protocol. Your product is not a protocol. Last week, I showed y'all how to create a general protocol or a specific protocol for something that you are treating or helping to address with your client. Guess what? I don't care what anybody says. A product is not a protocol. It's a treatment plan has to be based on assessment. So listen to this. If a product is not a protocol, right? And treatments, a treatment plan is based on assessment, then a nod from last week, you have to understand that a treatment plan is made up of several protocols. Does that make sense? Oh, look at this. Monique said, if you educate them, they will make their own decision if they want the help. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, listen, your products, I don't care how good they are. I got products too. They are not a protocol. They are a tool within the protocol, and then you put different protocols together based on what the client is experiencing, and that makes a treatment plan. Because the treatment plan is a vehicle. It gets the client from consultation to result based on what y'all spoke about, right? Everybody want to sell the oil. Everybody wants to sell the serum and the shampoo and the detox and the growth kit and the package. But the real question is, do you even know why the client is losing their hair? Do you even know why the client is losing their hair? You cannot recommend the same treatment to everybody and call it customization. And before anybody get crazy, there is definitely a system to that. So you know how, if anybody's worked with me, you know how I have DIY with support, and then full treatment plan systems, right? This is why, like when I first started, I used to have like this like contract almost, right? And then it had like the second page was like a list of everything that you would get, right? Or that you could get. And people would take that list and they would be like, I ain't get this, I ain't get that. I was supposed to get 12 of these, I was supposed to get 3 of these, and then whatever happened to these, right? And I had to change it from that system where I said, you know, you get your growth serum, you get your drops, you get your supplements, you get this, you get that, blah, 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 blah. Because at that time I didn't understand that protocol is not products, right? I had to change it to DIY with support and a full treatment plan system, because I'm not breaking down this is what you can, this is what you're going to get. I'm saying based on how your scalp reacts and how everything comes together, we could do this, but if it plateaus, we'll do this, we'll do something else. But I no longer, from that time, so many years ago, I no longer said you're for sure going to get this, you're for sure going to get that, and you know all those other things, right? And then I couldn't say, oh, this works for everybody, this is something I see, but I'm calling it customization, right? Because a product may support the scalp, right? A product may help the environment of the scalp. Okay. But if the client's issue is hormonal or autoimmune or nutritional or inflammatory or drug induced, right? Or medication related, right? Stress triggered, or if it's scarring, your product alone may not be able to solve the problem. I know I'm not wrong. I know I'm not wrong. A shampoo is not a strategy. It's not. A serum is not a diagnosis. A package is not the protocol. Your product is not the protocol. If I was your Trichology mentor and I wasn't afraid to hurt your feelings, and you had a full product line, and I think it's absolutely amazing, I'm telling you, that's not your protocol. The package is not your protocol. You telling somebody, okay, I'm gonna put you in a full treatment plan, and you gonna sit under the laser, and I'm gonna give you some oxygen therapy, and I'm gonna give you a little CIT, and I'm gonna massage your scalp, and that's not necessarily the protocol. It is not the treatment plan. You have to know why the client is losing hair. Protocols must be based on condition. Okay, I know I'm not wrong. I know I'm not wrong. It's got to be based on condition. It got to be based on client history, scalp state. What is the state of the scalp? Hair loss pattern, lifestyle. That's why I love doing case studies. I'm about to put out the spring edition of case studies. That's why I love doing case studies, because we don't often look at the lifestyle. We are so laser focused on somebody called, somebody booked, they're going to get a treatment plan, or they're going to come in for a consultation, that even if we ask lifestyle questions, we don't act accordingly. We don't take that information into consideration. We don't talk to the client about consistency and realistic outcomes. Because the truth of the matter is your client could be losing hair because they are not consistent. That's why in my free 15-minute consultation, I ask, how many hair loss professionals have you seen? Right? Because if they've seen 10 over 10 years, I'm not concerned. But if they've seen 10 in 10 months, I am concerned. You have no follow through, you have no consistency, and you've not had a realistic conversation about your hair loss. But that's also not only their fault, it's your fault. And this is me talking to a Trichology mentee. If I wasn't afraid to hurt their feelings. It's your fault if you continue to let the issue perpetuate and you are not speaking to your potential client or your client about realistic outcomes. And the reason why I can stand on business and say that protocols have to be based on condition, client history, scalp state, hair loss pattern, lifestyle, realistic outcomes, and all that other stuff is because, and you know it, go ahead and say amen or number 2 in the chat. If you have people know you a trichologist or know you do healthy hair and scalp, and they inbox you and say, what product should I buy for this? Okay, let me know. Put a 2 in the chat or say amen or whatever. If somebody said, what oil do I need to grow my hair? Facts. Yes. Or what shampoo? What girl? I heard you talking about some. What's that shampoo you used that time? Come on. I got all the tools. Yes. What's that thing you use, girl? What's that machine? I had a lady come to me and stand outside and tell me, yeah, girl, I had stopped by because I remember you was talking about that laser, and I went ahead and got me one off of Amazon. I said, okay. She said, yeah. So I'm a use that, and then also I use some apple cider vinegar in the. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Tiffany said they keep bringing in new oils from the store. And the crazy thing is because like the little $1.25 tree, they got oils. You can get carrot oil. What they said is jojoba oil. What they said was coconut oil. And then they mixed that all together. And they said, see, I got a custom oil. You don't even know formulation. Most of the trichologists I know don't even know formulation. What are you doing? Get out of here. Oil is a sealant. Oil is a sealant, which means what? Sealant. If you dry, you sealing in the dry. If you have moisture, then you're sealing it in. It is not the end all be all. I have an oil in my line, but that is not because, oh, girl, my hair feel dry. Give me some oil. You better get you some water. You know what I'm saying? And this is for my trichologists and the healthy hair care stylists. Like, you cannot feel responsible for a person saying, yeah, Tiffany, that's cute. But when I go home, I make my own products. I make my own product. And then when your treatment plan and your protocols don't work and you beating yourself up and you rocking in a corner because you feel like, I don't know why it didn't work. And now I feel like I got to give them more stuff because it's not really working. And I feel like maybe I didn't do a good job. And now I'm second guessing, should I even be a trichologist? And should I even do this? And should I even do that? Let me tell you, I've said more times than I even say. Because no, drink water. No, you drinking coffee is not what. I don't care if they put water in the coffee. What are you doing? Child, I'm getting crazy. Anyway, so before you sell the solution, right, you need to understand the problem. Otherwise, you are not providing care. You are just moving inventory. You are not providing care. And let's be honest. From what I understand, and for how long I've been mentoring trichologists, you're not just doing Trichology to move inventory. You want to make a difference, but then also if you're only moving inventory, then your price point is not justified. Oh, okay. Your price point is not justified because why I'm paying you $3,800. Monique said, I have a client that changes products weekly, then calls me because she's still losing hair. And that's out of my jurisdiction because I told you what we needed to do. And I'm trying to help you, Miss Agnes, but you keep buying something else. You up late at night on the TikTok scrolling, buying stuff. You got all kind of elixirs. Come on now. So when you look at it, if you just gonna move inventory, why even say you a trichologist? Right? Why even have a clinic? Won't you do this? Let me give you some game. Won't you just have a dry clinic and a hair loss coaching business? I just made you some money. I'm preaching all right. I'm preaching better than they say amen. Won't you have a dry clinic and a hair loss coaching business? You can be a hair loss coach and have a dry clinic where you are giving, okay, I'm your coach. I don't got to touch you. Hey, you come in. If you want to still have a little spot, the people come in. You look at them underneath the scope. Okay. This is the product that you're going to need. You want to make it a little fancier. You get their blood work. You read their blood work. All right, this is what you're missing. Okay, these are the things that you need. You give them the trichological numbers or the trichological amount of whatever the minerals and vitamins that they may need. You tell them this is what you need, blah, 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 blah. You could take this, bring it to your doctor, see if they say it's okay, and boom, you never had to touch their hair. You never had to touch their scalp, and you still made money. But if you're trying to do something else, and you're trying to be a trichologist, and you're trying to make a difference, then you have to understand that you can't just move products. Huh? You can't just move products. And even if you are good clinically, right? You still have to get your business together because chaos will ruin your client experience. Chaos will ruin your client experience. Talent without systems is going to create overwhelm, missed follow-ups, poor delivery, and inconsistent client experiences. What does that mean? Some of us are talented, right? But our business is messy. So we don't move from you. Okay, now you just moving the products. But guess what? Even the business is messy. Your intake is messy. Listen, I'm not going off on you. What I'm saying is, if I was your Trichology mentor and I was not afraid to hurt your feelings, I'm going to tell you, your business is messy. Your intake is messy. Your follow-up is inconsistent. Your notes are everywhere, if you even have notes. Your booking process is confusing. Your client journey is unclear. And then we wonder why clients don't commit. Because we're quick to say, they don't want it. They don't want it. They don't want to listen. They don't want this. They scared to spend money. I'm worth it. That's why I charged it. Yeah, maybe not. Your client journey is unclear. And then when they don't commit, and you wondering why they don't understand the process and why they disappear and why you feel overwhelmed. Your expertise needs a container. And that container is the system. Woo, girl. Ain't it a hard pill? Because we think that we can, if you've mastered hair salon, right? If you've mastered whatever you did before, sometimes you think, well, I could just translate that over. But if we did that a little bit raggedy, then we're gonna have to tighten up. You cannot scale confusion. What, Maisha? Huh? Oh, I said you cannot scale confusion. You can only multiply the mess. You cannot scale confusion. You can only multiply the mess. Every serious trichologist needs clear consultation processes. Do you have a clear consultation? Now I'm just asking questions real quick so I can hurry up and get to your money. The absolutely systems. You need an intake form. You need a follow-up system. Okay. You need a follow-up. What's your follow-up system? How about when the person finishes with your program, they're at, okay, so I do a 12-week program, right? First 3 weeks is this, second 3 weeks is this, third 3 weeks is this. The third 3 weeks is maintenance and teaching. So I'm teaching them how to continue to do what I did at home, right? How to maintain the growth that they got, right? But also in that the last 4 weeks, at the last 4 weeks, right? I'm also discussing maintenance as far as it relates to you coming in, right? You coming in. So you done in April. It's now May. I'll see you on the third week of May. A maintenance plan. These are the products you need. This is the type of shampoo that you need. Now you do shampoo and all that other stuff, because remember, products is not the protocol. But now you have something to maintain. Now you have something to help them maintain, right? And so you don't have a consultation process, right? You do not have a lot of things. You don't have a referral system, right? Or a referral process. You don't have a treatment plan structure, right? You don't have a payment process. People shouldn't be meeting you around the corner and all that other stuff. You don't even have a client communication flow. A client communication flow. Like, have a portal where the clients could log in and see. You don't even have a client communication flow where they can go into a little portal and say, okay, all right, I did that. I did this. FAQs, here's some videos, here's some nothing, right? Nothing, right? So your system is part of your professionalism. Systems is a part of your professionalism. Say it again. I will. Systems are a part of your professionalism. It tells a client, I know where I'm taking you. Don't nobody listen. I'm not following you. Where are we going? I don't know, girl. We'll know when we get there. No. Where are we going? If I give you my $1,800, $2,800, $3,800, if I come and see you every 2 weeks, if I sit in your chair for 2 hours, if I'm sitting up under where are we going? The client has to know that you know where you are taking them. So here's the truth. Here's the truth, right? Trichology is not for people who just want a title. It's for people who are disciplined enough to carry responsibility. I'm only up on this high horse right now, my little soapbox, because today is the first day of Trichology mentorship, and I'm super excited to get off up in these backsides, because we got to do something different. We've got to do something different, right? You need to study. You need to assess properly. You need emotional intelligence. You need clinical reasoning. You need systems. And if that hurt your feelings a little bit, good. Because sometimes the thing that hurts your feelings is the thing that finally makes you grow. If you are a new or improving or growing trichologist and you know you need structure, you need mentorship, you need clinical confidence, you need business systems, then this is your sign to stop winging it. Get trained, get mentored, get serious, because your client deserves more than your excitement. They deserve your excellence. I hope I helped you today. I had a good time. I hope you had a good time. Listen, Tiffany said learning doesn't stop at school or masterclass. We have to study our craft. Absolutely. Absolutely. Your client deserves more than your excitement. They deserve your excellence. And I'm so glad that I'm in communication with some excellent hair professionals, hair and scalp professionals, trichologists, and all the things. Listen, I'm bringing the same message to my mentees for the next 6 weeks, and amongst other things. But I will be doing case studies soon. So if you want to join me for case studies, be on the lookout and all the things. But look over your systems, look over your things so that you can do what you know is right, and possibly raise your prices, and possibly step all the way from behind the chair if that is your desire, and really make a difference as it relates to the trichology space, because we have enough quacks out here. Let's do the right thing. All right. I'll talk to you guys soon. Have a great day today. Happy hair growing.